Welcome, 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 everybody. Welcome to Magnetic Talks podcast. I am here today all by myself. Michelle isn't able to join us, unfortunately, but I have a wonderful guest here with us, who's actually also flying solo today because typically her partner is here with her. But my dear friend, Kimberly Ridgeway from KRAV Properties is here to join us as the guest for today's topic. We are going to be doing a deep dive look into a 35 unit opportunity that we both have and are excited to share. So without further ado, allow me to introduce my partner, Kimberly Ridgeway.
Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here on this podcast. And I'm very excited to be able to share this deal with everyone and a little bit more on what makes this deal special and why we're partnering with Magnetic Ventures and how we think this is a really great opportunity.
So you'll notice that Kim and I are kind of sitting at the edge of our seats. We've got a lot of excitement for this deal. It's all we want to talk about. And so we thought, why not bring it to the podcast? And so we're going to go through our agenda a little bit. Definitely going to focus on the deal itself, but I thought I would introduce things and have our listeners understand a little bit more about our partnership and how we found each other, because I think for some of our listeners who might be new to real estate or trying to find, how do you partner up with somebody? I think KRAV Properties and Magnetic Ventures has a really cute story in terms of how we met and how we really started working together. So I'll start it off, if you don't mind, Kim. So we had met Kim and Andrew a couple times at different networking events. We share a common mentorship community together, and so just lighthearted, nice to meet you, knew each other. But when Magnetic Ventures, so Michelle and I, posted that we were visiting a property within our community, Kim had reached out and said, "Hey, I think I know what building you're at. We're looking at it too." And really, it kind of just all started from there. So super simple, super organic. But from there, we really took the time to get to know one another. We talked about our values. We talked about what it is we're looking for within our own businesses and what our goals are within our own businesses, to really see if what we had could support one another and to see if there was a path forward that we could share.
Well, that's beautifully said.
Thank you. So Kim, in your perspective, what in a partnership makes it, a strong connection or a strong bond in executing deals like this?
Well, we felt from the beginning that with you, Michelle and Melissa, we had a great connection. Just the flow, the conversation, the values. We were really lining in our long-term goals also. So we felt like we were heading in the same direction, and we felt like we were complementing each other into what we could bring to the table. Thought of like different quadrants of what deal building and portfolio building would look like, and what kind of skills we need to bring to the table. And we really felt like we were complementing each other, and we were able to just build from there and start
Yeah.
shopping.
Yeah, you know what? And I'm reminded visually of, when we're all together, and my space, when I say all together, we were, meeting through Zoom and whatnot. We do get together uh, physically sometimes, but often we're meeting over Teams or over Zoom or, whatever the platform may be. But actually literally taking a paper and, building 4 quadrants and talking about, what is your specialty? What are you really good at? What are you hoping to what skill set are you hoping to bring out in these type of and in this future partnership that when we're at the time drafting up? So I think for our listeners, like when you start thinking about future partnerships, just grab a pen and paper and start writing down, what do you like to do? What are you naturally good at? What are you willing to learn? and compare that with your partners and see how you organically things might fall and might align themselves, and then from there you can kind of split up the pieces that might remain. Because I think, ideally in a partnership, my weaknesses are your strengths, and your strengths are our weaknesses.
Yeah, we can really complement each other and make a stronger team. So we end up being together stronger than we would be just individually summing together. We just have that extra power together.
I love that. I love that. So I know Magnetic Ventures, we really focus on multifamily and value add properties. You KRAV Properties, so Kim and Andrew also have a focus on multifamily and value add properties. I know why I'm attracted to them. Tell me a little bit about why KRAV is attracted to these types of deals.
We've definitely moved to the larger deals because we definitely see the value on how quickly you can turn around the valuation of a building, how quickly you can increase the NOI with some of the changes that a value add property would actually allow you to do. There's definitely the economy of scale in a large building, and there's also much less risk in terms of vacancy. So when you have a duplex or triplex and you have a vacancy, you could be 33% vacant, you could be 50% vacant. When you have a 35 unit building, you have a vacancy, it's a non-event. It's not something that will affect you financially. Definitely you want to fill that vacancy, but it doesn't have the same crippling effect on your financials. So it's definitely one that we see with less risk when it comes to vacancy. And the value add strategy is one that we've been specifically shopping for. We've been specifically shopping for buildings that are built around the 1980s, that still have good bones, have good structures, still have a long life ahead of them, but do need some cosmetic upgrades. The one that we feel we can get ourselves involved. Andrew has some extensive construction background, construction knowledge and abilities, so he's able to plan the work. He's able to have a good understanding of how much the work will cost. He's able to do a lot of the work himself, so we are able to really use these abilities to our advantage into turning these buildings, especially for those cosmetic repairs that those 1980s would come with. So we are able to make them more attractive to the tenants, create a better living environment for the tenants, and eventually help bring those buildings back to market value, and then increase your NOI, and in the end increase the valuation of the building. So that is actually lying in our strategy to do that.
Yeah, and certainly Andrew will be the lead on that, but I know that yourself, myself, and Michelle, we're all ready to roll up our sleeves and put a little sweat equity in there, because this is our first major large, well, for me, I'm considering it a large property, and it's within driving distance for us, so we're excited to just get in there, get to know the building, put that sweat equity in there, and support the building itself. Another nice thing about the value add properties is, because we are raising capital for this, and so we have to think about how we're going to repay our investors. And when you raise the value of the building and plan and strategize to refinance in say 3 to 5 years, it's really that value add, it's that sweat equity that you're putting into the building that allows you to draw up the price of the building, so that you go from a $3 million building to a $5 million building, which really allows you to focus on repaying your investors in a timely manner. And so that's another reason why I know Magnetic Ventures really likes to focus on the value add property. And well said for all the multi-family points that you made. I think you've covered them all in terms of why Magnetic Ventures focuses on that too. I know one of the analogies we like to use, and you briefly mentioned on it, was the leaks. What I call the leaks, that's the analogy I'm using, is a single dwelling unit or a duplex, and we have duplexes too. There's a lot of leaks, and you're really reliant on one or two tenants to pay your rent to cover all those leaks that could happen. And having more doors under one roof really just helps you to alleviate that pressure a little bit. So thank you so much for sharing that.
If by leaks you mean all the expenses, right, associated to the property. So whether it's insurance, taxes, utilities, et cetera, et cetera. So
Yeah.
each
So
dwelling with multiple.
I can't hold back anymore. Let's talk about the building. 35 unit building in Brockville, Ontario. It's all brick. It's sexy. It is, in my view, one of those future case study projects that just cover all of those ticket items that we've been shopping for as investors. Value add, the ability to decrease the expenses. We found space that we could utilize. It might be more units, it might be storage. Like, there's so many cool things about this building, and that I just, I'm having a hard time holding it back. So before we get into the nitty gritty, let's talk a little bit about Brockville. Tell me a little bit about, was there something in particular about Brockville that you liked within the market, or is it just happens to be where this building is?
Well, both actually. We also like Brockville very much. We have been, as part of our strategy, we've been shopping in, in around Ottawa, so in those smaller markets. So always looking for that typical 1 hour drive from Ottawa, so we can easily access the property. We are outside of that very expensive Ottawa core, where we can get more affordability, and we are, still able to manage the building and get involved in the building. And we know that as the depopulation of Ottawa grows, it's going to slowly start, expanding into those secondary markets. And there is already an increase in population that we are seeing in Brockville. So it is a market that is increasing in demand, is still affordable, and it is easy to access. It is sitting on the 401, so main corridor between Ottawa and Toronto. So very easy to access, close to the States. So it is in a very, it's a great location in terms of accessibility. So for us, it just checks all the boxes.
I agree. And the condition of the building, like, I mentioned earlier, it's all brick. It's a beautiful building. It has a bit of green space. There is a parking lot that needs a little love and care, but we've got a plan for that. There is a carport in the space. And there's a park right behind it. It's just a beautiful, beautiful building. The inside is a little dated, but that's where we come in and give it a little bit of love, because, again, we're referring back to that value add aspect of the property. So we're pretty excited. There's nothing in there that is screaming, major renovations. So it's really just one of those ideal places where you get to come in, we can make it our own, we can start studying the different needs in terms of tenant profile, and start making those renovations so that we're meeting the needs of the tenants and the people who want the tenants and the style of rental property that Brockville deserves. I think as a fresh investors investing in a new community, we bring a lot of strength. We want Brockville to shine. We want Brockville to do well, and we want the citizens of Brockville to feel like they have choices. And if they want a newly renovated space, then that's what we want to provide for them. Is there anything else that in the building itself that I'm not thinking of that you wanted to highlight, Kim?
Something that is actually very attractive is that it's an all concrete building. So it is not made of wood, it is all concrete. So it has very,
Great.
very solid bones, very attractive for insurance companies. Like a good longevity for this building due to that. So really, really strong structure. And it is also on slab, so there's no foundation, there is no basement, so there's no concern there. Lots of parking space. So the property has a two-level parkade that holds 24 parking spaces. It has a carport that holds another 7 car parking spaces, and then there's also 6 visitor parking spaces in the alley at the back outside. So there's ample parking for everyone, and we suspect that some of that extra parking space could also be used towards either storage or additional units. So something that we are studying right now. But so there is like a lot of parking, which is a great addition for the tenants living there.
Yeah, yes, you're right. I was thinking of, I'm glad you mentioned that because in my mind, I'm thinking of our investors and, trying to show them the value add that we can bring. Again, thinking of that refi, thinking about how to pay back our investors. But you're right. It's really about the tenants too. And what can we bring of value to the building that will make them more comfortable? How can we improve their lives? How can we make sure that this building is a place where they want to live? I
Yeah.
love that. Hmm. So, let's talk a little bit about the numbers. Did you want to share? I mean, we won't get too much nitty gritty. We will have a call to action at the end of the call for anybody who is interested in learning more about the specifics. But maybe they can touch on our exit strategy and. And talk about what are we thinking with this building, what what's our strategy?
So our strategy going in would be to apply right away for a mortgage. So we are able to bring investors on board, but also have good leverage from the bank, stabilize the building. So we are looking at most likely a 5-year initial mortgage just to give us the
Mhm.
time to really stabilize the building. And then after that, the plan would be to refinance and return the money invested. The projection is to return most or all of the initial money invested in that 5-year period. So we are then able to keep owning this building together and really
Mhm.
growing our portfolio. So the beauty of a project like that is that once you have all your money back and you are getting infinite return at that point, but you still having your same ownership in the building. So you don't liquidate the asset unless you want to exit, but should you want to stay in, you can actually stay in and keep it as a long-term, portfolio and really keep your ownership in this building. So you keep having your cash flow, you keep having every time you refinance, so you keep having the principal pay down by the tenants, you keep having the appreciation of the building, so you really keep benefiting for the long term. And should
Mhm.
anyone want out at one point, those refinances are a good strategic moment where they could be, replaced with another investor. We would have like a fresh appraisal. We would know what the valuation of the building is, and so we'd be able to strategically offer an exit at that point, so we can replace with another investor or buy them out, or if at some point we choose to sell the building, it's not out of the question, but it's not our main goal right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad you talked about the cash flow, the appreciation, the refinancing, like as exit points, because really what we're looking for in this deal are, uh, accredited investors. So those who are looking to maybe move some of their capital and have it park for a minimum of 5 years. We're looking for investors who are thinking about um, generational wealth, if you will, because this is an asset that you can put into your portfolio. And as Kimberly mentioned, if you need it back in 5 years, let's say, you have a goal and it's because your kids are going to college and you need that capital back in 5 years, or you have a big anniversary that you want to treat the family to, a vacation to Disney, and it's in 5 years from now. So there's opportunities for you to invest in this, and with an end goal of exiting out at any refinance, but we know the first one will be in about 5 years. But it's also a great place where, if you're looking to move your capital, for those who are in that position, this is a great space for that. There's a lot of appreciation in one, because we are it's forced appreciation through the renovations that we'll be doing, but also just Brockville in general, for the reasons that Kim had mentioned earlier. It's along the 401 corridor, it's a growing community, it's along the river, there's a lot of growth happening there, so the appreciation is going to be there, both forced and naturally occurring. Let's talk a little bit about our investors. And so we are attracting the right investors, and we are hoping to offer equity partnership for our investors. Do you want to talk a little bit about what that means for them?
Well, actually, so it complements the previous one, and just saying that we're actually offering shares in the building. So as opposed to offering a loan towards the building, we're actually offering shares in the building. So that means that someone can be a co-owner of the building alongside us, and but hands off. So don't have to do any of the operations or management. You can just watch your investment grow
Yeah.
with putting any of the sweat and the work into it. So that's the beauty of this building, is that for as long as the building increases in value and keeps generating profits, those profits are shared among everyone. So it is not a one-time deal. It's a forever growing opportunity. And to come back to what you're mentioning, let's say you do have a life event in 5 years, or you plan on using those funds. Well, you can actually do both, because by then the intention is to have returned the money to the investor, and then with no money
Mhm.
left in the deal, you can actually still grow with that portfolio and have your money back, where you can reinvest into some life projects, personal milestones that you have, or into another one and keep growing. So one does not exclude the other. You can actually do both.
Hmm. And for those who are watching this podcast, my background is the building itself. So as you can see, such a beautiful building. It is, all brick. That's got some green space around it. But for our listeners, and for those who are listening to this recording, how can they learn more about this deal, Kim?
Well, we are always available for one-on-one. So if anyone wants to find out more, deep dive into the numbers, want to, any questions that they may have, are always available for those one-on-one meetings. They can always reach out to us. They can either contact us through the Facebook. We do have a Facebook page called KRAV Properties, so KRAV Properties. They can also write to us personally on our Facebook, or they can send us an email. So we do have craveproperties@gmail.com. And then we would be happy to jump on a call. We can send you a Calendly link. We can send you an investor package, so you can deep dive into the numbers and the strategy, and then we can talk this through.
And I will make sure to include your Calendly link and links to your Facebook page and email address. And for Magnetic Ventures, we have magneticventuresinc@gmail.com. We also have Magnetic Ventures as a page, a business page on Facebook as well. And certainly I will be linking our Calendly and links to all those mentioned ways to get a hold of us as well. So, Kim, I just, wanted to thank you so much for jumping on board and joining me on this call today. I know we're usually four or foursome. Today, it's, Kim and Melissa taking front and sharing this deal. We're so excited about this deal, and we would love to, have any type of conversation with anybody who wants to learn more, whether you're an accredited investor who is, looking, like I said, to move some capital around. There is opportunities for families and friends as well to become investors. And we talk about this like 24/7, and to have a new audience to talk about this deal with, it'll be our absolute pleasure to take some time and speak with you. So thank you so much to our audience. We'll see you next time on Magnetic Talks.
Awesome. It's an absolute pleasure to be here.
Thank you.